Trump sues Colorado. New lawsuit tries to overturn the state and the city of Denver's limits on using local resources for federal immigration enforcement. Colorado's public broadcasters talk about Trump's new effort to pull their taxpayer funding.
We're going to put up a hell of a fight as not just public media, but all the constituents that we serve.
And like every Friday, we go out in search of the best things happening in the lives of our neighbors. This week, we stumbled into a whole situation.
I'm a clown in plainclothes division.
That's tonight on Next. The Trump administration is suing Colorado and the city of Denver over immigration policy. Department of Justice filed a lawsuit today asking a judge to overturn the state and city policies that limit cooperation with federal immigration agents. The DOJ lawsuit accuses state and local leaders of improperly preempting the federal government's ability to carry out immigration enforcement. It challenges the constitutionality of several state laws that limit local law enforcement's ability to enforce federal immigration law and share information with ICE. It also takes on restrictions on ICE's ability to enter jails or interview inmates about their immigration status. The lawsuit seeks to overturn a Denver city ordinance that prohibits city employees from using city resources to assist federal immigration agents and requires ICE to get a warrant to get into city jails. The Justice Department says immigration agents are put in more danger when they have to try and detain people outside of local custody. And the Trump administration wants Republican-led counties like Douglas County to be able to do more on behalf of ICE. The city of Denver has been a particular target of the Trump administration and Republicans. Mayor Mike Johnston was referred by a member of Congress for criminal prosecution the day that he testified before a House committee. Johnston dismissed their interpretation of the federal harboring statute, saying that Republicans' interpretation they are threatening him with would mean that any private citizen or any church, any nonprofit that so much as gave a meal or clothing to somebody here without authorization could be prosecuted. Johnston told me that day he believes Denver does work with ICE within legal restrictions.
We don't ask someone's status when we arrest them or when they come to a library, but that we do collaborate with ICE to pursue violent criminals. We do that now. And if we have someone in our custody, they send us a detainer request, and what we do is we notify them when they're going to be released. Denver is unique in that we both provide services and supports the people, but we also do share information with ICE if they're looking for someone that we're releasing.
DOJ's filed similar lawsuits against immigration policies in Chicago, state of Illinois, Rochester, New York. Democratic Attorney General Phil Weiser's office told us they've successfully defended Colorado law in the past, and they, quote, stand ready to do so again. The city of Denver released a statement saying the city, quote, will not be bullied or blackmailed, least of all by an administration that has little regard for the law and even less for the truth. The Trump administration is hinting that it will start arresting Democratic mayors and governors over immigration policy, and prominent Republicans in Colorado are publicly thirsting for it to be Governor Jared Polis and Denver Mayor Mike Johnston.
The president signed an executive order just this week threatening to defund sanctuary cities for their policies. Why not just arrest the leaders who are harboring and shielding illegal aliens, actually terrorists, from deportation?
Wait to see what's coming.
Heidi Ganahl, the Colorado Republicans' most recent candidate for governor, posted on social media that Polis and Johnson should be first up for arrest. Ganahl remains a key figure in the Colorado Republican Party despite her near 20-point loss to Polis in 2022. Calls to arrest or even to execute Democrats is not new from some in Colorado's Republican circles. Podcaster and political activist Joe Oltmann has been flirting with a run for governor next year. This is Oltmann in 2022 on the day that he endorsed Ganahl for governor after calling for mass executions of his political opponents. Oltmann continues to call for Colorado's leading Democrats to be arrested.
We want Polis in handcuffs. We want Jenna Griswold in handcuffs. We want Phil Weiser in handcuffs. We want the people in Colorado that are basically stealing rights and violating the Constitution in handcuffs.
Democrats in the state legislature just passed a bill to create a $4 million fund that can be used to fight the Trump administration if it tries to defund Colorado or to pay legal fees if state leaders are arrested. President Trump's latest front in his attacks on journalism is an attempt to defund PBS and National Public Radio. The president called their coverage biased and ordered a halt to all federal funding for that public broadcasting. Our Spencer Soischer looks at how local affiliates in Colorado might be impacted.
Read with Colorado Matters.
All over Colorado, you'll find public media.
Time to announce our next book pick.
Local TV and radio stations, local journalists on air.
You got to make it sound like yourselves.
Working for government-funded NPR and PBS affiliates.
Our bread and butter is music discovery.
In some communities around the state, this is pretty much the only source that they have for Colorado-based information.
Well, I would love to do that. I think it's very unfair. It's been very biased.
President Trump issued an executive order Thursday night directing the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to stop funding NPR and PBS.
.org.
The majority of that public funding goes on to local affiliates, like NPR affiliate KSUT in Ignacio, Colorado.
You know, we are in a news desert here in the Four Corners in southwestern Colorado. There are media outlets, but they're very far and few between.
Tammy Graham says KSUT would lose about 19% of its budget, $333,000 lost. At Colorado Public Radio, they'd lose about 7%, about $1.5 million.
The president is telling the Corporation for Public Broadcasting it cannot be used to purchase programming or support PBS or NPR.
A White House social media account says they're making the cuts because of what they call biased coverage. It listed 24 examples of what they referred to as trash that is passed as news from PBS and NPR. Things like apologizing for characterizing someone as illegal, or an interview with an author about his book about the history of cannibalism. But just 2 of those were examples from local affiliate coverage.
The reality is defunding a station that's run by your neighbors.
The 3 Colorado NPR and 2 PBS affiliates we spoke with all believed this would have a profound impact on them, that they provide a service that benefits everyone, and in some cases, can be life-altering.
Then we're right back into a commercial model where people who can afford it get it. People who don't might not.
So when emergencies are happening, we are a lifeline to a lot of our region's residents.
Ultimately, we'll see how this ends up. Both NPR and PBS say the president does not have the authority to do this. Clearly, he disagrees. The president of PBS called it a blatantly unlawful executive order issued in the middle of the night. The Center for Public Broadcasting is already suing the Trump administration over firing 3 of its 5 board members.
I have to imagine, Spencer, that they have been preparing for this to happen, and they are also experts at politely asking people for money.
And that's the key part of this. They've been waiting for when is this going to happen, not necessarily if. So they're getting ready in a sense, but they ultimately rely on donations to begin with. And in this case, they probably will have to fundraise off of the fact that they are getting a certain amount taken away from them.
Yeah, just important to mention, while the president's sniping at people on NPR national, it's local broadcasters in far-flung parts of Colorado that might be most impacted. Thank you very much. State legislators are giving up on a controversial proposal to slow down public records requests for Coloradans, a measure that would have allowed government officials to also decide who they believe is a real journalist or not, and therefore entitled to faster open records requests. Sponsors announced today they would not attempt to hold a vote on overturning Governor Polis's veto. The bipartisan group of sponsors said their bill was an attempt to address the volume of public records requests that come into public agencies and offices these days. The governor did not like this approach. He said the bill would allow the government to pick favorites and to limit transparency. Full disclosure, I also offered a commentary here explaining why I thought the bill gave government officials a dangerous amount of power over journalism. And I said that journalists should not be getting public records any more quickly than anybody else in the general public. So there are seniors in our community, low-income folks, who have to do the financial dance every month. They got to pay their rent and pay for their medicine and buy their groceries. And for a lucky few, a free food box shows up on their doorstep, delivered by a nonprofit that has been serving people on the margins of our community for 65 years. This week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign supports the work of Denver Inner City Parish. A parish, but this is a non-religious nonprofit that works in Denver and parts of Jeffco and Arapahoe County. One of their programs is delivering thousands of these food boxes out to seniors who can't get out of the house easily. They also provide a ride service, so like they'll take people to doctor's visits and such, and they have social programs so that older Coloradans who might otherwise be alone at home are able to get out and be part of a community. Their work is not controversial, it's not political, it's people helping people, but there's been a federal funding cut to that program. It's left at about $70,000 short. They do a ton of other work in other areas in our community, but they don't just want to give up on this senior program that does so much good. So they reached out to me. I'm reaching out to you. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word thanks to 303-871-1491 to get the link to join me and a bunch of other Coloradans in giving. And there are 5,000 of you who have signed up to make a monthly donation to the Word of Thanks Fund. You put in your donation info once, we automatically split your gift among every nonprofit we feature. Quick and easy. And it means that our recent campaigns have started with more than $30,000 in your generosity.
I'm not like superstitious or anything along those lines.
No, they're not superstitious. They're not even a little stitious. No, the Denver Nuggets do realize they have to reverse some bad playoff mojo tomorrow. And we are ending this week with what is either good news or your worst nightmare. How do you feel about clowns? There's exercising, like playing basketball, and then there's exercising, like what the Nuggets need to do with their playoff demons. Where exercise meets exercise, you'll find our Marshall Zellinger.
For the Denver Nuggets to be able to raise another banner like this, the team will need a different Game 7 outcome than last year.
Pain. A lot of pain.
As PA announcer for the Nuggets, this is Kyle Speller's view of the game, win or lose, like last year's Game 7 home playoff loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves.
I'm not like superstitious or anything along those lines, and so I mean, I'm just a creature of habit, so I'm going to do the same stuff anyway.
You know, probably similar to players, right? We're going to prepare the same way and hope for a different outcome.
The seats will still have towels for fans to wave. That's not being changed. Though as vice president of marketing, Ron Chase did have a hand in altering one significant thing from last year, the uniform.
This year it'll be the Statement Edition uniform, which is the Mile High City. Cobalt blue one.
Okay, the uniform combinations had to be decided before the series against the Los Angeles Clippers even started, but it is different than last year's 52-80. And it turns out picking the uniform combinations has a bit of luck built into the decision.
We do take into account when we would wear them, superstition, player preferences, all that. So it is a little bit more than just they wake up and get a uniform that day.
The court that will match the uniform was still being installed Friday afternoon. When the changeover is done and Speller sits courtside with his microphone, he will channel his inner Rafiki from one of his favorite movies, The Lion King.
One of the great lines that I love that he shares is with Simba when he comes up to him with that stick and he hits him at the head, and Simba's like, "Jeez, what was that for?" And he says, "It doesn't matter. It's in the past." And that's the way I feel about Game 7 last year. It doesn't matter. It's in the past.
You were wondering where The Lion King and basketball connect, and now you know. The court was being changed for basketball because it was ice for the Colorado Avalanche yesterday when both teams played simultaneously. That's not going to happen again, right? Nope, the Nuggets play at 5:30 tomorrow, the Avs at 6 p.m. The NBA announced the game time first, so I asked the NBA and the NHL if they consider coordinating to not have both Game 7s overlap for fans in the same city. And guess what, Kyle? I got no response. What? Perhaps it's because I asked if they would have done the same thing if it were the Knicks, Rangers in New York, Celtics, Bruins in Boston, or the Lakers, Clippers, and Kings in Los Angeles.
Yeah, league office probably opened your email and they're like, Denver, where's Denver? Where's Denver? Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one tomorrow. I don't know. The two of us have criticized a lot of government overreach over the years, but man, if the state wanted to mandate that the Broncos play in their old unis and the Nuggets play in those cobalt blue ones that say Mile High City, I'd be down with that.
I like the skyline.
You like the skyline?
I like the skyline.
Oh, I like that Mile High City look. They're good. All right, Game 7s tomorrow. Marshall, thank you. Let's flip it and bring in Corey Reppenhagen. Not that anybody wants to be outside tomorrow, Corey, but apparently it's going to be nice.
Yeah, all those outdoor events, Nuggets games inside, so that's pretty good. We have the AMA Supercross going out here at Mile High. I watched them all day build these big kickers out here. Man, that's going to be a pretty spectacular event. We've got a lot of outdoor activities tomorrow, and the weather, it looks just awesome. Saturday and Sunday, for that matter. Look at these temperatures forecast across the area here on Saturday. Upper 70s here across the Front Range. 60s up here in the Summit County towns. So it's going to be a real nice day across all of Colorado. I'll show you the weather pattern here. This is that little storm system that just delivered a couple of nights of nice rain here to Denver. Now we go under this big ridge of high pressure. That's going to last 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, warm and dry. But we are watching the next storm system, which looks like it could be one of those potentially impactful spring soakers here. Late spring storm, big trough here, going to tap into that moisture and bring it to us here in Colorado on Monday and Tuesday. So we do have a weather impact alert for Monday because of some severe weather potential and some big soaking rains on Tuesday, along with some mountain and foothill snow, which could be significant. So we're watching that storm, which will come your way right after this real nice weekend.
Not only are the clowns excited and happy, but the people's, you just lighten up the entire room.
Our favorite Friday question always puts a smile on our face. Although this week, most of the faces came pre-painted with smiles. Hey, a reminder, you can watch the clowns on this program streaming each night, 6 p.m. on 9 News Plus, and next is a podcast, wherever you get those things. Apologies in advance to any coulrophobic Coloradans out there. Clowns. Lots of clowns. At the Clowns of America International Convention in Colorado, where we went with our favorite Friday question.
Ladies and gentlemen from Denver, Colorado, I present to you the Clowns of America International Parade.
My good news today is that we're here in Colorado Mills Mall to celebrate our 41st consecutive convention.
It's an international clown convention. I'm part of Colorado Clowns, so I live here in Denver. So it's wonderful for us to host this convention in our own town.
And we're just coming to spread some joy and some cheer to everyone around us.
I love having them around because they make me laugh.
The good news today is that we are here with a bunch of clowns and we are clowning around at Colorado Mills Mall.
We love this, you know, we love like all our colors and all the smiles. Like if you look around, you just see like not only are the clowns excited and happy, but the people's, you just lighten up the entire room.
That's what we do. We bring joy.
And that's where clowning comes from. It doesn't come from here or here, it's the heart.
Es que voy a hacer 6 años para siempre.
What's the good news? Good news is clowns are in Denver.
It's kind of fun to get this many clowns together.
Clowns on a carousel. Never thought I'd see. Oh my. Oh, and this is for me? Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you. All right. We'll be back with your feedback next. Feedback from John, who says, all the lawsuits that are mentioned about Trump, where do the lawyers come from on the Trump side? You mean like the funding for the lawyers on the Trump side? Next time you see the funder in the mirror, John, tell him thanks. But that's how it works. Somebody sues the government, taxpayers are going to pay for the legal defense. Jewel says of my jacket tonight, Merry Christmas 1978. That's actually very good. Michael says, that reminds me of the graph paper we used in college. Another Michael says, that is the most hideous jacket I have ever seen you wear. Michael, this belonged to my late grandfather. I don't say that to make you feel bad, just to let you know I don't care what you think about it.